How do you prove you didn't do something when someone claims you did? Marcus Chen faced this impossible situation when his co-worker Amanda Price accused him of sexual harassment at a company conference. She had a timeline, specific details, and even claimed there were witnesses to his pattern of behavior. Marcus knew he was innocent, but in corporate America, accusations carry more weight than denials. His lawyer told him the odds weren't good. It's nearly impossible to prove a negative. But Rebecca Foster wasn't an ordinary lawyer. She believed in evidence over allegations, and she knew something Amanda had overlooked. Modern hotels have cameras everywhere. The security footage would prove more than just Marcus's innocence. It would capture Amanda's entire conspiracy on video. The morning of September 15th started like any other Tuesday at TechVision Corporation. Marcus Chen arrived at the downtown Seattle office at 7:30 a.m., carrying his coffee and ready for another day as senior software architect. At 38, he'd spent 8 years building a stellar reputation, respected, professional, and never a single complaint. The vice president of engineering position had recently opened, and Marcus was one of 2 internal candidates. The other was Amanda Price, a talented but ruthlessly ambitious project manager who joined 3 years ago and made no secret of her determination to climb the corporate ladder fast. The email from HR arrived at 8:47 a.m. Mr. Chen, please report to Human Resources immediately. Do not discuss this with any colleagues. In the HR conference room sat Diane Morrison, Director of HR, James Wesley from Legal, and his manager Stephen Park. Their expressions were grave. Marcus, please sit down, Diane said coldly. We need to discuss a serious matter. A formal harassment complaint has been filed against you by Amanda Price. Marcus felt the world tilt. What? That's insane. I've never harassed anyone. What is she claiming? James slid a document across the table. Ms. Price alleges that during the company retreat at the Riverside Hotel last month, you cornered her in a hallway around 9 p.m. and made inappropriate comments about her appearance. She also claims you've sent suggestive texts and created a hostile environment over several months. That's completely false, Marcus said, his voice rising. None of that happened. I barely spoke to Amanda at the retreat. I was with my team most of the evening and left early because I had a call with Tokyo at 6 a.m. Do you have proof? James asked. Why do I need proof I didn't do something? Where's your proof? Diane exchanged glances with the lawyer. Ms. Price has provided a detailed timeline and witness statements. You're being placed on immediate administrative leave. Security will escort you out. The escort was humiliating. Marcus packed his belongings while colleagues stared. His phone started buzzing before he reached his car. Shocked messages from co-workers asking what happened. At home, his wife Lisa listened to the story with growing anger. This is insane. You would never do that. But how do I prove I didn't? Marcus asked helplessly. Over the next 3 days, Marcus lived in a nightmare. His daughter Emma came home in tears. Kids at school were saying her father was a creep. His reputation was being destroyed by lies, and he felt powerless to stop it. On day 4, Lisa sat him down. We need a lawyer. Not just any lawyer, someone who fights. Lisa's research led them to Rebecca Foster, an employment attorney with an unusual background as a former private investigator. Her office wall displayed a quote, "Evidence doesn't lie. People do. Tell me everything," Rebecca said. For 2 hours, Marcus described his professional relationship with Amanda, cordial but competitive. The retreat at the Riverside Hotel on September 8th to 9th. The evening networking event where he briefly chatted with Amanda around 7:15 p.m. in a group conversation. Completely professional. Walk me through that evening, Rebecca instructed. The networking event wound down around 8:30. I went to the hotel restaurant with 3 guys from my team, David Wong, Sam Patterson, and Kyle Martinez. We had dinner discussing work. I left around 9:15 to prepare for my Tokyo call. Took the elevator to the 5th floor, went to my room, and didn't leave again that night. Which floor? 5th floor, room 512. And Amanda claims you cornered her in a hallway at 9 p.m.? That's what they said. Rebecca leaned forward. Marcus, here's the problem. False accusations are nearly impossible to fight. You're proving a negative. She says it happened. You say it didn't. Usually comes down to credibility, and companies protect themselves by believing accusers. So I'm finished, Marcus said bitterly. I didn't say that. Rebecca smiled. You mentioned the Riverside Hotel. That's an upscale business hotel, correct? Yes, where we always hold retreats. Modern business hotels have comprehensive security systems. Cameras everywhere, lobbies, hallways, elevators, restaurants. If Amanda claims something happened in a hallway, there's likely footage. More importantly, if you were never there, the footage proves your innocence. Marcus felt hope. Can we get it? Hotels keep footage 30 to 45 days before recording over it. The retreat was 3 weeks ago, so we need to move fast. I'll file preservation letters today. Legal demands that they save all footage before it's erased. Rebecca moved quickly. Within 24 hours, she'd sent preservation letters to the hotel and TechVision. Within 48 hours, she'd filed a grievance demanding Marcus's reinstatement and review of all evidence. TechVision's lawyers resisted, but Rebecca's response was devastating. Your client has specific allegations about specific events at specific locations. If Ms. Price is truthful, footage will confirm it. If she's lying, footage proves it. The question is whether your confident evidence supports your complainant. We're confident it exonerates our client. The implied threat worked. If TechVision refused to review evidence and fired Marcus, they'd face wrongful termination suits. After a week, they agreed to review the footage. The viewing took place in a TechVision conference room. The hotel had provided footage from every camera on September 8th. Rebecca attended along with Diane, James, and an independent investigator named Sarah Martinez. Let's start with the networking event, Sarah said, cueing footage from the ballroom. They watched Marcus mingling professionally, having a brief conversation with Amanda around 7:15 that was clearly professional and public. Nothing concerning, Sarah noted. Now let's check the alleged incident. Ms. Price claims Mr. Chen cornered her in a third-floor hallway around 9 p.m. The third-floor hallway footage changed everything. At 8:52 p.m., Amanda stood alone in the hallway, checking her phone repeatedly, clearly waiting. At 9:03 p.m., she pulled out her phone and began taking selfies, but staged to look distressed. She mussed her hair, adjusted her clothing to look disheveled, and positioned herself against the wall as if cornered. Diane gasped sharply. The footage continued. At 9:07 p.m., Amanda smoothed her appearance and walked toward the elevators, where Brian Torres from accounting was waiting. She approached him urgently, gesturing back toward the hallway, appearing to tell him something distressing. That's Brian Torres, Rebecca noted, listed as a corroborating witness in Amanda's complaint. We're watching her approach him with a fabricated story after staging fake evidence. Let's verify Mr. Chen's location, James said, his voice now cold. The restaurant footage showed Marcus entering at 8:43 p.m. with 3 colleagues. They ate dinner, talking animatedly. At 9:14 p.m., Marcus left and took an elevator. The camera clearly showed him pressing the button for floor 5. The 5th floor camera showed him walking directly to room 512, entering at 9:17 p.m. His door remained closed the rest of the evening. So to be clear, James said, openly angry now, at the exact time his Price claims Mr. Chen was harassing her on the 3rd floor, he was having dinner with witnesses in the restaurant. Cameras prove he never went to the 3rd floor. And cameras show Ms. Price staging false evidence, then lying to a colleague to create a fake witness. That's correct, Sarah confirmed. The evidence is unambiguous. This is premeditated fraud, Rebecca said. Ms. Price didn't make a mistake. She deliberately created false evidence, manipulated a witness, and filed a complaint she knew was fabricated. This was a conspiracy to destroy my client's career. Brian Torres was brought in that afternoon. Shown the footage, he looked devastated. She told me Marcus had just harassed her, Brian explained. She seemed really shaken. Her hair was messy. I believed her completely. I offered to report it immediately, but she asked me to keep it confidential while she processed it. When HR interviewed me later, I vouched for her story. Mr. Torres, Rebecca said gently, Marcus was never in that hallway. You witnessed Amanda staging a fraud and recruiting you as unwitting corroboration for something that never happened. Brian went pale. She manipulated me into helping destroy an innocent man's career. TechVision interviewed Amanda on October 2nd. Confronted with the footage, she initially tried to maintain her story, claiming the timestamps were wrong. When shown her staging photos, she claimed she was documenting her emotional state. But when shown approaching Brian immediately after staging evidence and told that Brian confirmed her story was false, she finally cracked. She admitted fabricating everything, Diane told Marcus during a reinstatement meeting. She saw you as competition for the VP position. She thought removing you with a harassment scandal would make the position hers. She believed it was impossible to disprove. What happens to her? Marcus asked. Terminated immediately for fraud and exposing us to legal liability. We're considering criminal charges. And my position? Fully reinstated with back pay. Your file will show complete exoneration. You were the victim, not the perpetrator. We're offering a settlement for what you endured. What about the VP position? Marcus asked. Diane and James exchanged glances. Given the circumstances that this arose from Ms. Price trying to eliminate you, the position is yours if you want it. Marcus felt overwhelming relief and vindication. I want it, but I need a company-wide communication clearing my name. Everyone knows I was accused and suspended. They need to know I was innocent, that I was the victim of fraud. We'll send that out, James agreed. The email went out October 5th, making clear Marcus was fully exonerated, the accusations were proven false, and the accuser was terminated. Colleagues responded with apologies, support, and outrage on his behalf. Rebecca helped Marcus file a defamation lawsuit against Amanda personally, seeking damages for the harm to his reputation and family. Amanda's lawyer tried, arguing she couldn't be sued for internal HR complaints, but Rebecca demolished that defense. This wasn't a mistaken good faith report, Rebecca argued. This was premeditated fraud to eliminate competition through character assassination. My client's family suffered tremendously because your client deliberately fabricated allegations she knew were false. The lawsuit settled for $175,000, covering Marcus's legal fees and compensating his family's suffering. Amanda also signed a statement admitting her allegations were false and apologizing for the harm. Marcus started as VP of Engineering in November. On his first day, he gathered his team. I know what you're thinking, Marcus began. You're wondering if I'll be bitter, if this will change how I lead. The room was silent. Here's what I learned. False accusations are rare but devastating. Real harassment is far more common, and people must feel safe reporting it. What Amanda did doesn't change that we need to take harassment seriously. What saved me was evidence. If those cameras hadn't existed, if I hadn't had dinner with witnesses, Amanda's lies might have destroyed me permanently. That's terrifying. So I'm implementing changes. Better harassment training. Fair, evidence-based investigations. Protection for accusers and the accused. Decisions based on evidence, not just accusations. Because truth matters. Evidence matters. Justice matters for genuine victims and the falsely accused. The team applauded, and Marcus felt purpose from his trauma. That evening, his daughter Emma raised her glass at dinner. A toast to Dad, who showed me that being innocent isn't enough. You have to fight for truth. And to having a good lawyer, Marcus added with a smile, who knows modern hotels have excellent security cameras. They laughed together. Amanda's attempt to destroy him had failed completely. He'd gotten promoted, cleared his name publicly, and was positioned to make positive changes. Amanda had lost everything, her job, reputation, and significant money in the settlement. Her ambitious plan had backfired spectacularly. Justice had been served. The falsely accused had been vindicated. And Marcus Chen had proven that with evidence, determination, and refusing to accept guilt for something he didn't do, even the most calculated scheme could be defeated. The truth, backed by security footage, was unstoppable.